Welcome everyone to Almost Cancelled. I am Peter and joining me is Tara. We are going to talk about Star Trek Discovery Season 4, Episode 11. It is called Rosetta. So full spoilers for the episode as always. And like most episodes this season, there's two plots. There's the A plot, which is Michael and a group of characters go down to this planet. Because keep in mind, we're beyond the galactic barrier. We're in uncharted space. We're into creepy territory. But there's a planet that has been long abandoned, but there's evidence to suggest that perhaps species Tennessee once lived there. So they want to go down and see if they can find anything that'll help with first contact later. And that's their main mission on the episode. And then also you got Book and Tarka trying to secretly find a way to attach themselves to Discovery so that they can just hitch a ride to species Tennessee, because as much as Tarka hates to admit it, they'll probably figure out a way to get to them before he will. So they should just hit
at least that's what Book believes. Yeah,
what do you call that thing where Marty McFly, when he grabs the back of the truck on the skateboard, what do you call that? There's a name for it.
I don't know.
Sketching.
That seems like something a cool person would know, but that wasn't me.
I think it's sketching. Maybe sketching is only when it's rollerblades, but either way, like that's just effectively what they want to do. They want to hold out a Discovery.
So it's like hitching with a skateboard. Sketching.
Yes, I guess that's the logic. I think I only know that because there's like a old Nintendo game with that name, and that's what you do in that game. I think that's the reason why I know the name for it. But anyway.
Well, I figured it wasn't because you were a cool kid. Don't be offended. I wasn't either. I know what we are.
I could have been a cool kid. You don't know
that. No. Cool kids either become cool adults or really terrible people.
Very well then, I guess we'll just get on with the review since we've established that at this point in the show. So the main team go down to the planet, and it's Michael, Detmer, Saru, and Culber who go down. And so much of this was giving me vibes of many other things, actually, them going down to this planet. There was a lot of Mass Effect, and I've said that before in this show because they're like, whenever they put the spacesuits on with the helmets, it's like very Mass Effect looking.
Yeah, I've never played the games, but they do look like the game covers I've seen.
Yeah, and then the other thing is like they're seeing like, you know, echoes, like memories. We'll get into sort of why in a minute, but they're seeing like flashes of things that happened in the past when these beings lived here. And first of all, at one point, one of them calls them shadows, which made me giggle because I was thinking of Babylon 5. But it's
could also be some influence.
It was also giving me vibes of The Expanse, and then even Mass Effect again. There's a little bit of like, ancient races and civilizations that, you know, there's like remnants left behind. Like, there's definitely a lot of that stuff that was sort of like, I was feeling a lot of that as they were going on this planet looking for a hint or something. Ultimately, they end up discovering what they're referring to as Rosetta Stone, which is that at first they think Saru is just like for some reason his old fear like instincts are kicking back in because he's getting scared and seeing things, but then it starts happening to Michael, and then it happens to Culber, and it's like, oh shit, no, this is something here on this planet, and it's in the air, it's the dust or whatever, and doesn't happen to Detmer though. And what's funny is they never speculated, because I was thinking, oh, is it something to do with her, like, her thing? Like, her,
That's immediately where I went to.
Yeah, that's what I thought. But they never, and it wasn't, but they never questioned that. I thought that was weird. Wouldn't you consider, like, the thing about her that's different? Maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, because, I mean, Saru is there, and obviously he has such different physiology. So you would think, well, maybe it's some sort of tech thing then, like the implant in her head.
Exactly, yeah. But what they realize is that obviously these beings seem like they were probably very big, and then they seem like they're even bigger when they realize the place they're in, like the remnants that they're standing in is actually a nursery, and that the skeletons that they're encountering are actually probably the children of this species.
Yeah, so they're enormous.
Yeah.
And it used to be a gas giant, so they're in like the what's left over of the core of a gas giant.
Yeah.
So it used to be like Jupiter, which would mean there was a lot of heavy atmosphere that they were like jellyfish or something living in that.
Yeah, in fact, at one point when they're going through the remnants, there's like some visuals that look like there's like almost moldy jellyfish floating around. That's not to suggest that I think the beings themselves are going to look like jellyfish, but I was definitely getting jellyfish vibes from some of these structures.
Yeah, well, they seem to have some sort of technology too, so it could just be based around just things that are able to float through like some sort of medium.
Yeah, so the big thing with this though is they find a way to like stop it from happening to them, and then they realize that this is kind of like something they use in the same way that some creatures use pheromones or whatever. This is like something how they communicate their feelings, and they basically realize that because this is a nursery, if they let it all in properly here, because when they feel all these like the fear and all that, it's when they're on their way in, but when they actually get into the nursery towards the end of the journey, and they actually let it come in, they realize that here it's filled with love and like comfort and things like that, and like the care of a parent. And for some of them, they're like, oh, I remember feeling this with a parent. And sadly for some of them, Detmer and Saru are like, oh yeah, we never had the love of a parent. So this is new.
Yeah, that was pretty sad actually. Detmer's just like, I've never known this feeling. It would have been nice to have this growing up.
This is something new. So, do you know what? We have given a lot of shit, both of us on this particular point, to how little they've developed, or even when they pretend they're going to develop some of the bridge crew, they don't. I actually think this episode did actually do a lot for Detmer.
Yeah, I think so too. I even like her scene at the end with Adira.
Well, that's the thing. It's not just her own scenes in this. Because I think if it was just these scenes in this plot, it would be fine. It would be like a nice little moment. But I think it's the fact that this goes alongside the Adira scenes where Adira's talking about admiring Detmer and saying, oh, Detmer's got her shit together.
Yeah,
and
she's very calculated. She never, like, under pressure, she's always, focused.
Yeah. And Reno kind of like says, yeah, she's kind of the shit. Like, she's cool. But I think the fact that they have that conversation and then we see her be affected by this and like start crying actually gave her crying more weight because of how other people view her. So it actually complemented across the two plots in a way that I don't think this show normally pulls off. So I'll give them some credit. I think this is the
best that we've seen so far for giving those, the other crewmen an episode. I mean, I did really like the one with Ariam, but it was the whole episode, and she felt way more important than she has in the show before, which is just unfortunate for that episode, because they're saying that she's really close to everybody, but she's barely been a character, so it's hard to believe them. But in this one, I thought they did a really good job with developing Detmer as a character from what we already know and how other people see her, like you said. And yeah, that moment was actually quite emotional. Like when you just stop and think, like, oh, that's sad. I wish better things for her.
It worked. Like it was a decent moment. And because they kind of set up at the start when they're, which I kind of hated the opening a little bit, because they did this like the four of them in their suits walking in slow motion, and I was like, yeah, stop it. This is not.
They're doing the cool, the right stuff. Yeah. Armageddon walk down.
You've not earned this moment. Stop it, right? But they do this funny little thing where Adira comes up and what was the phrase she says? Like, fly well or fly good?
Fly good.
Fly good.
I think. Yeah.
And Detmer's like, yeah, all right, I'll fly good. And then at the end, Adira like works up the courage to go and say hello and hang out, and like, hey, I flew good, so I guess you helped with that. It's like, never bring that up again. No, I'm going to bring it up every day for the rest of your life.
Yeah, it was a cute moment, and it was a nice follow up also with after the scene, because we get Reno back, Jet Reno, which was also very nice because I love Disney Taro. Yeah. And she had a really funny moment with her and Linus. I think they make a good team for like comic relief, so I'd be happy to see them a lot more in the show too. But
I think she was missing for like most of the season so far because of pandemic related stuff.
Yeah, I think I heard that actually.
Yeah. But the fact that she's incorporated into the plot now by the end of the episode makes me think, well, we're just going to see her a few times now before the end of the season.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and So the scene with Reno and Adira, where they were talking to her about, that they have a lot of respect. It's kind of like a girl crush, but it's not really a girl crush, because it's just an admiration thing.
Reno even kind of jokes because Adira says,
Gray's gone.
I've been thinking of Detmer a lot. It's like, oh, well, whilst Gray's away, the cat will come out to play.
Yeah, and they're like, no, it's not like that. It's just, we see Adira all the time just kind of buckle under pressure or get really nervous and have kind of like season 1 Tilly moments. And instead it's, she's just so cool and stuff. And I just wish that I could be more like her. And Reno's like, why don't you just, talk to her? Stop being so intimidated and just get to know people. And then the follow through with that at the end of the episode, I think is really sweet. And it worked well. It's a much better pairing than Adira and Gray. And again, I don't mean romantically. I just mean like, it's just nice. Yeah. Build friendships.
The joke between them felt like it had more chemistry and was more entertaining than Gray just smiling constantly at Adira.
Yeah.
Yes, I get it. So, yeah, that stuff is nice. But yeah, back to the Rosetta thing. It's like because I kind of like this episode. Again, there's some stuff to make fun of, the slow motion at the start, and like them treating everything like it's a grandiose moment. And I feel like
even the fact that like these species seems to communicate with feelings. It's like, do we need more feelings in the show?
Well, I'm okay with that because of what it does later. I'll stick up for that. But
sure.
But one of the things that
was just a joke.
Is really starting to irk me about the writing, right, on this show, is that so much of Michael being captain is her justifying things when she's been questioned as why she's making a certain choice. And it's not so much that I agree or disagree with her choices. It probably varies depending on the episode and what the choice is. But I feel like I've seen so many scenes at this point of President Lady go, wait, why are you taking your second in command as well? The captain and the first officer are both going. Why are you doing this? And then we get like, a paragraph from Michael explaining why Saru has to come because of this,
it's almost
and this.
Like the president is there to act as like, the one that reads all the letters to the editor in the magazines, But like, look, people are asking like, why is it always Michael and Saru? And honestly, like, she gives great answers where it's like, yeah, okay, it makes sense why she's going now.
I'm sick
but
of
it also
them.
brings up I think a flaw. If you okay,
it
brings up a flaw that I think is in the show, which is that there should be more crew members. Then, like, if it's always the captain going because she's the only xenoanthropologist, well, why don't you have a team of xenoanthropologists on the ship? Or, like, it makes sense that Saru's going because he is very unique and he does have this like sensory capability beyond humans that. Yeah, we don't know what kind of species we're dealing with. He might be able to pick up on something. Like, he is very unique and special that way. And Michael is very smart, and she probably is the best anthropologist on the ship. But, like, maybe you need more. Maybe there should be a department then. Maybe there's crewmen that are lacking that the ship needs.
I'm just sick of having to hear explanations for choices that, admittedly, some of them sometimes are like dodgy and are just like another excuse to have the captain go on the mission, which, like, while it wouldn't necessarily make the choice any better, there's something to be said about the fact that original series did it all the time, and while you can sit there and sort of criticize why is Kirk always going on the mission, ultimately it wasn't that annoying because he didn't stop to explain. They didn't come up with a reason every time why he was going on the mission. He just did it and he just accepted it and we moved on with our lives. I feel like I've heard paragraphs from Michael at almost every episode now justifying why she has to be the one to go on the shuttle somewhere, or why she has to be the one
in the next series. When you get to Next Generation, Picard doesn't, and there is an explanation for that, and it's because he has teams of people on his ship. And now maybe Discovery, and because the Federation is not what it used to be, maybe there's just a lack of people with these skills that they need. But it just seems like the captain should go for ambassador missions and for first contacts, yes, but like all the sciencey stuff should be other people.
Or it's bad writing.
No.
It's just bad writing. Like,
Shut up. I hate hearing this excuse now already. Every single episode you give me this excuse and I hate it.
it's not an
Just
excuse.
get over it and stop doing bad writing and just tell me other details.
It's not an excuse. It's a conclusion. My conclusion is bad writing. Because
I gloss over it every time you say it. I said, let's move on.
No, something you just said there. We were talking about the original series, and then you said next gen it changed, right?
So is it bad writing in the original series?
That one element of it's kind of bad. It's a cheesy TV show thing, right? And the reason why next gen changed it is because it didn't make much sense, and they did it in a way that felt more natural and felt like it actually fit the chain of command.
This series originally took place before the original series, where the captains go on missions. And now they're after that, and that's why the president's like, why is the captain always going on missions? And she's like, well, look, here's our situation. It makes sense that I go, we only have like 26 hours before Navarre and Earth are gone, so let's do this.
It's not necessarily a big deal, but here's the thing. They want this show to be an action show. And Michael, to begin with, was not the captain, so it made sense that she was going off and doing actiony things, whilst the captain was not doing that. Mm-hmm. But then they made her the captain, and they've refused to change how they write the show to fit the fact that she's captain. So
they've always had good reasons why she goes.
So yes, it is bad writing. It is.
Because they've always had good reasons. I just think that this crew needs to be
It doesn't
more
matter
developed.
what the reasons are. If they keep having to have reasons, then it's bad writing, because they're just making up reasons so they could do the same thing over and over again.
But the reasons aren't bad.
It doesn't matter if they're good or bad.
Then it's not bad writing.
It's bad writing. The fact that they have to keep giving reasons is what makes it bad writing.
No, because the reasons make sense.
And the fact that they have not changed how they write the show, despite the fact that they made her captain, is bad writing. It's a failure to evolve.
I'm done talking about this. I don't want to hear it anymore, is all I'm saying. All right, quit the show. I'm putting my foot down.
Okay. I guess from now on I'll just have to say less than
whatever.
stellar.
Let's just move on.
Less than stellar scripture is my new phrase. Okay. I think that was a good debate. For the most part. Anyway, the thing that's good in the episode, which I was getting to, the thing that's good in the episode is that ultimately when they feel these feelings from this, dust that's floating around, and they go, wait a minute, if they were protecting this nursery, that means that they care about their children. If they care about their children, that means they're probably very empathetic. It means that there's compassion. It means we can draw on something, and it means that they should, when we ask and we explain that they're hurting places and they're hurting potentially billions of lives, that they will actually go, oh, sorry, we shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah,
we'll
they
stop.
seem to have empathy.
But then Saru says, but it's just as likely that they know that their device is doing this and they just don't care. And I think that question and their sort of fear of which answer it is, do they not know and they'll go, oh shit, sorry, when they find out, or will they go, yeah, we know and you're ants to us, so we don't care, it's whatever. Mm-hmm. I think the way that question is posed towards the end of the episode is quite an interesting path to take this on. Especially since we're dealing with a species that is so big and so old and so powerful. Mm-hmm. The idea, compared to Babylon 5, it's kind of like you go into Babylon 5, but there's a species, rather than sort of finding out about the shadows sort of in the background. There's a species and you're hoping they're good, but they might be bad, and you don't know when you go to meet them. That's effectively what we're doing with this. And that's kind of interesting. I'm kind of into it.
Yeah, I guess we get little flashes of what they might look like from the planet too. And I do like that they take the time to go to this planet to actually, it makes sense in the canon of the show, because the first contacts are always kind of, you know, hit or miss. So whatever we can learn, the better. I mean, it used to be like they would, you know, watch in secret for a little bit.
That was established in the Next Generation. That was an episode I just watched like a season ago.
Mm-hmm.
Is they established
who watches the Watchers or something?
They try and learn about the culture before they try and make first contact. Now, of course, in that situation, and like a lot of situations when they're making first contact, it's a planet that is less advanced than the rest of the Federation, and that's why they're doing it this way. This is a little bit different in that this culture is way more advanced than the Federation.
And they really can't risk, you know, screwing up this first contact also.
Oh, yeah, because they're the ones at risk. Like, Earth and Navarro, or whatever they're calling Vulcan now.
Navarre. Oh, yeah. I guess they have there's technically a second chance if Book and what's his name, Elon Musk are able to take care of the problem.
Well, this is the thing. Not everyone. Which, by the way, just on, you just read me something. For some, I completely forgot to bring this up. So this is a bit of a tangent for the review of Moonfall, of all things. But you kept defending a really crappy character in that movie, and I forgot to bring up that multiple times in that film. Great. He worships Elon Musk and even says at one point, what would Elon do? Like, no, like trash. He's trash. He's a trash fire of a human being, and he should be thrown into the sun.
He's a great character.
No,
he's got his flaws. Even Discovery, like in season 1, they were talking about how people went to like Elon Musk college or something. Wrap around.
So that's
I don't like billionaires.
I mean, you'll like me if I'm a billionaire. I'll become a billionaire, and then you'll have someone to like.
Yeah. Oh, we'll see. I mean, you're not doing yourself any favors in this review.
Whoa! I've made some valid, well-structured points. Thank you very much. Anyway, so anyway. Earth Lady, though, she wasn't very happy they're going down to this planet. She thinks she's going straight to first contact. And by Earth Lady, I mean the woman who's there to represent Earth. And Book and Tarka, they basically have some devices to disguise their signals, so no one knows that they're on Discovery, because they need to plant a device so that the AI won't know that they're attached to the ship. So they're sticking.
It kind of reminds me of like the cloaking device that they used when they went on board the Klingon ship, and they had to disguise it's just a little patch that they wear. So
they're sneaking around the ship, and they overhear some of Earth Lady's conversation, complaining about some of this stuff. And Book has the idea, no, we can bring her on board and sort of get her to work with us. And because she clearly, she liked her plan in the first place, and now she's got these concerns about what they're doing now. So he goes and
they're running out of time.
Yeah, so he goes and makes a deal with her, and she does insist that first contact should be the first choice, but he says, okay, yeah, we'll stand down if it works, but if it doesn't, then you'll back our plate and like help us like steal the power source and stop the anomaly. And she's like, yep, okay. So that's that setup. Whereas Tarka runs into Reno, and we actually don't find out what happens till the very end of the episode when Book goes back onto his ship, and Reno's just sitting there going, yep, I'm a hostage. Somehow Tarka's kidnapped her.
I don't know. Maybe he was able to trick her or something into thinking that he's, planted some device that might explode if she doesn't follow. Whatever. I'm not sure how.
Oh, I don't know. I'm sure we'll get more.
I'm just glad that we're getting more Jet Reno.
Honestly, I think Jet Reno sitting there calling Tarka and all of his shit may actually be quite funny next episode, but we'll see.
I can see them not getting along.
Yes. Which potentially is quite good.
I love her line about how like the replicators are out, it's only making steamed bananas. And she's like, well, we better fix that before we all starve to death. It does sound gross.
It does. Yeah. Steamed banana. I don't really want any sort of cooked banana. If I want a banana, I just want a banana. Well,
like banana Fosters would be all right, but but just mushed bananas like baby food, but hot? No.
I'm just imagine. How do you even steer? But like, I imagine someone like when someone puts like corn on the cob into a pot of boiling water. I'm just imagining someone peeling a banana and just throwing it into boiling water.
Just steaming them. Yeah, I mean, it's probably good for like feeding some reptiles or something. I don't know. I don't know why that's a menu option. Maybe aliens like it.
Oh dear. So yeah, I don't have too much to say on their side of things, other than there's a moment where Book kind of like listens to Michael at the end of the episode without her knowing, so he wants to hear her voice. He's too heartbroken, so I have to see Michael again. And it's like, okay, sure. Yeah, but Joe, the photo for this episode in IMDb is the slow motion walk. It's the four of them in the black suits walking in slow motion.
I mean, it is a cool shot. It's just a little Armageddon-y.
It's the sort of thing you build up to, but you can't really do it in the first 5 minutes of your episode. It's just a bit weird.
I guess. Yeah, I mean, I giggled a little bit.
Yeah, it's just a bit weird.
Still love the show.
Hey, I was more positive on this episode than most of the season, so don't give it to me just because I
like this episode a lot, and I like where we're going with the 10 Cs as a species. I think the idea of having an alien that lives in a gaseous planet and what that looks like and what their technology is very cool.
Honestly, the season's plot turned into being about first contact with a very powerful older race that is huge and like could be dangerous. That is actually a very interesting premise to take this down, and dare I say, they've got me thinking that they might actually pull off a good end of a season, which they haven't really done as of yet, so we'll see how that goes.
Season 1 was perfect. You're crazy.
It was not. Season 3 pissed me off. Like, the ending of season 3 like absolutely like enraged me with how
it was all right.
They squandered, because they present the penultimate episode like offered like a good, very Star Trek potential thing, and then they shat it all away so that Michael could punch a bad guy in the face in the last episode, and it upset me so much. So hopefully
we don't negotiate with terrorists, okay? Even in the future.
So yeah. But yeah, by this show standards, not a bad episode.
All right.
I'm not going to shower like absolute praise on it. It's not like I say, there's still some of the problems are still there, and there's cheesy moments in the directing. In this particular episode, it's the slow motion shot. Usually, it's far too many Dutch angles and like swerving the camera around and too much cutting and whatnot. But
I didn't notice that at all in this one.
There wasn't too much of it in this one. I think it's because there wasn't that many scenes in the bridge. I feel like the bridge is where they usually overdo all that shit.
Yeah, I wonder if it's because they're trying to compensate for like the lack of set pieces, since everything's projected and stuff like that.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, there you go. That is Star Trek Discovery Rosetta. Let us know what you thought of this one in the comments below. Like, subscribe, ding the bell for notifications, all that stuff. You can get us on the Twitters, @mail_fuzz for channel updates. And of course, if you want to support everything, you can head over to patreon.com/mailfuzztv and support us for as little as $1 per month. And by all means, if you go to @mailed_fuzz and just let us know what you think the quality of the rating on Star Trek Discovery is. Would you describe it as good rating? Or would you describe it as something else?
How do I hang up on this thing?
I never said it. God,
you're such a little brother. I'm not touching you.
Thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you next time. Keep watching. And obviously we did Picard, the season premiere, so we're doing that too.
Yeah.
And that was
great
like
show.
Twice the length of this episode, this review I should say, and that was a mixed bag of a first episode, so
loved it. 10 out of 10.
Crazy woman. Such a crazy woman, you know that?
I just love me some Star Trek. Keep it coming.
Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you next time. Keep watching TV. Have you got any vanilla?